Happy Wednesday and welcome to this special Brain Scratch update. I'm John Lordan. Thank you so much for joining me here today. 2 months ago on Brain Scratch, we featured a story about a man named Donald Studey and claims by one of his daughters, Lucy, that he was responsible for killing dozens of women and burying them on a property that the family lived on. She said, just dig the well up and the truth will come out. She even claimed that she and her siblings helped move some of the bodies. Here we are, a few months later, and the well has been forensically processed. Or has it? Since I've gotten into true crime, I've heard numerous claims like this, but usually related to unidentified criminals. Something like, someone in my family was D.B. Cooper. What was different about this instance was the claims of firsthand experience and the details about that experience, that they used a wheelbarrow in the summer and a toboggan in the winter, that they would frequently take the bodies to a well. Apparently, that well no longer exists, but cadaver dogs did react to something in the same general area. It was tagged by local law enforcement, and the GPS coordinates were recorded. While Susan Studey, sister of Lucy, says that the claims are untrue, if Lucy Studey's correct, her now deceased father was killing women over the course of decades, hitting a total number of murders that would make him one of the most prolific serial killers in America, and had his children help him with hiding the bodies. With that number of victims and firsthand knowledge of the burial sites, it should be relatively easy to prove. But this case just never seems to go as expected. One of the questions I raised previously was, if there were this many victims, where are the families that are looking for their missing loved ones? Well, after the story broke, Lucy said several families did come forward. She received 15 pictures of missing people from their families asking if maybe their missing loved one was one of the victims. To think of the possibility that her story may be untrue and she's pulling at the heartstrings of people in a situation none of us would ever want to face makes me really uneasy, to say the least. As for Lucy, she says, I can't read them anymore without an emotional breakdown myself. Lucy would tell Newsweek, I would like everyone to wait until after they find bodies and then the authorities work on identification. It's too early to try to identify victims. There it is again, a tone of authority that either points to a truth, a fabrication, or something in between. Lucy claimed that she knew where the bodies were buried publicly, an effort to stop the case from being closed. And after the news of these claims erupted a few months ago, law enforcement did take action. An FBI agent would start investigating. The Iowa Division of Criminal Investigation would join the effort. And in early December of 2022, investigators from multiple agencies investigated the site they said was identified by Lucy. For 2 days, they forensically processed the scene. Then, on the third day, they left about as quickly as they arrived, and in a news release would follow up by saying, over the past 3 days, state, local, and federal law enforcement assisted with an investigation in Fremont County. Authorities brought in an array of experts representing several disciplines and significant assets to excavate, collect, and examine soil samples from a site identified by a reporting party. After exhaustive efforts, no evidence or other items of concern were recovered. But Lucy wasn't done. Telling the press, one way or another, those bodies are coming up, with or without help. She then contacted Newsweek again, saying that she heard from several witnesses, some who actually sent her photos, that the investigative team checked the wrong location, a different well than the one that she had previously identified. How that could happen when they were working based off of GPS coordinates doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Quote, I contacted FBI agent Ben Carter and the Iowa DCI several times to let them know that that was the wet well, not the dry well. And I suspected certain people were trying to switch wells on us. I got no reply. Who would be trying to impede this investigation? I mean, is she alluding to the neighbor that helped dig out the driveway for the investigative team to even get to the site? Or is she claiming that someone on the investigative team themselves? I mean, she was working directly with the sheriff when he noted the GPS coordinates. And she's the one that took him to that location. So is he responsible for fudging those coordinates before handing them over? My brain, I can't figure out who she thinks might be responsible for this. But in any case, why would someone not want those bodies to be found outside of her deceased father? Why would anyone else participate in a cover-up around those bodies? Makes no sense to me. When Newsweek spoke to someone in law enforcement close to the case, they replied in 2 short words: "It's over." Lucy responded with a threat on Facebook. After telling the law enforcement divisions to go F themselves, she wrote, "You'll have one more dead body in the morning. Mine." She soon posted again, "I'm home now. I'm fine. Don't worry. I'm sorry. I hate the DCI. I'll get the well excavated without them." She was contacted by the FBI and assured everyone that she had no intent to harm herself. And because of that, she was finally able to speak to them directly about how they got the wrong spot. The theory is that the neighbor, Sean Smith, who had bulldozed a road for the investigative team to use to access the area, got them directed to the wrong place. Lucy told Newsweek, "He bulldozed the area on the left hill between my dad's old trailer and Jeff Rice's trailer. Smith stated to me that he didn't know there was a wet and a dry well on the right hill. I believe him. I confirmed with Smith that my dry well on the right hill has been undisturbed." She asked the FBI and Iowa DCI to announce that they were in the wrong spot and on the wrong hill, but was told that they stand firm on the fact that they searched the correct area, which, once again, they had GPS coordinates. It's pretty hard to refute. I also found an article where Lucy had somehow magically telegraphed that they would probably search the wrong spot before it actually happened, supposedly, and then she accused them of it. Lucy once again ran to the media with open letters about all these developments, and the comment boards erupted again, with many people questioning her method of threatening self-harm to get a phone call from investigators, noting that left and right aren't directions like east and west are, and some people wondering if this isn't all some big attention grab. Lucy Studey told CNN that she questioned the validity of the investigation. 2 days to cover 425 acres? Doesn't that seem like a thorough investigation, she said. I think it's a funding issue or a sham dig, she concluded. However, I thought she had firsthand knowledge of these traumatic memories. They wouldn't have to search the entire property if they had solid information. With law enforcement now saying this matter is closed, what are the next steps for Lucy? She claims she's going to try to bring a private investigative team to the right well. In a recent Facebook post, she said, "I have to remove myself from social media and from commenting about this investigation. I made this agreement in order to get a new excavation done in the spring of 2023. I promise to keep pushing forward and update you as soon as I can." She said that private companies had offered services and equipment, but, quote, "I'd like the FBI and DCI to get back up there instead of us." We do have to keep in mind that the land has changed dramatically over the years, but the truth is, all they would have to find is one human bone, and they would get law enforcement back out there. She has the buy-in of several journalists, and she did get some brief cooperation with law enforcement. However, part of me thinks that we're never going to hear that update about the search in the spring. And there's a chance we might not see Lucy's or Donald's name in any future articles at Newsweek, CNN, or Rolling Stone. I have no idea what kind of father Donald Studey was. And based on some of the criminal records found, he probably wasn't a joy to live with all the time. But I also don't think that it's necessarily fair that unfounded and unsupported claims are made about him like that, particularly claims that by their nature should be easy to corroborate. His other daughter, Susan, says she wants her father's name restored. Quote, "Lucy destroyed my father. He was no angel, but he certainly wasn't a serial killer. He was caring. He loved all 4 of us, even Lucy, and He bent over backwards for all of us throughout our whole life. Susan wants a formal apology of her own from the sheriff's department. She told Rolling Stone magazine they said they believed her 100%. She destroyed my father's image. I didn't ask for this. It's tough because I know sometimes it's hard to get the help of law enforcement, and using the media is a tried and true method. But this story leaves me wondering if we just have someone abusing that. There's also a strong possibility that Lucy has pulled resources from other cases that could have benefited from the time and attention of these agencies. Those families with the missing loved ones probably want the FBI and DCI available to look into their cases, not looking to find physical evidence of what could be someone's manifestation of emotional trauma from the past. As frustrated as I am with the nature of what Lucy has claimed and her lack of action to prove it during the time, which I mentioned in the previous video, it could have been as easy as buying a disposable camera, or her ability to prove it now by simply pointing them to one set of remains out of the supposedly 60 to 70 that are still out there. I still want to believe that she didn't simply do this for the attention. Maybe Lucy's dealing with something else entirely, and perhaps these steps will eventually lead her to the truth that she needs to find for herself. What do you think? Let's talk about it in the comments below, and please, let's keep it respectful to all parties. I know there's a lot of emotion around this. I think you guys can feel it coming from me as well. But I do feel that there's a lot to be learned here, and there might be other factors at play that we just don't know about. Please join us again here on the LordanArts channel.